Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. I have so many fun things to report to you in my daily life, and, of course, all that going-ons around the world. You know what's amazing to me? Those people that do news and nothing but the news, it's like, are you kidding me? There's always something to discuss because the world just keeps on turning. So we're going to give you a full report of everything that's going on in our galaxy. We're not going to just cover the world. We're going to cover the galaxy today. First and foremost, we have a huge development, of course, down in good old Florida in Seminole County. Every time I hear the word Seminole County, I'm always thinking about John Anderson's great country song, Seminole Wind. But George Zimmerman arrived at the Seminole County Jail Wednesday night after being voluntarily turned himself in, after being charged with a second-degree murder for the shooting death of the 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. And he will be in court today, where there's going to be apparently a bond hearing. The prosecutors are going to ask for no bond. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, I do not know all of the facts of this situation, just like you don't, except what we have learned in the media. And I can tell you right now that that doesn't mean that you have all the facts. Trust me. But the bottom line is that this special prosecutor, Angela Corey, had a news conference, and I watched it. I was in a mediation all day, and I got back to the office at about 6 o'clock. So it gave me the opportunity to watch the press conference at 6 o'clock while I was gathering up some things to go home for my second shift. And I just want everybody to know that I do not know whether or not George Zimmerman should have been arrested based upon the facts or whether he should be charged. And I certainly feel terrible for Trayvon Martin's family, regardless of Trayvon Martin's conduct or not conduct, just because they lost a 17-year-old son. But I just want everyone to know that this is pretty ridiculous. And you say, what are you talking about? Well, here's what I'm talking about. Law enforcement did an initial investigation of this, which was fresh, in real time, such that this normally takes place. And they decided not to even charge him. Okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, who is the prosecutor in Seminole County? It's not Corey. It's not that woman. So you got to ask yourself this question. And can you imagine how George Zimmerman might feel? The fact that the local law enforcement chose not to arrest him. The Seminole County prosecutor chose not to prosecute him. And the governor, working with the state attorney general, appoints a special What? What do you need a special prosecutor for? The crime happens in Seminole County. On Seminole County's law enforcement watch, Seminole County has a prosecutor. Why in the hell does the governor, who's white, guilt, don't have that white guilt, the attorney general, who's female and white guilt. And why do they have to then appoint a prosecutor who, I'll be candid with you, I don't know if she's black, white, or Hispanic. She looks mixed race. And this team, she introduced a team. She's got this guy on his team, this guy on her team, this team. George Zimmerman's just not getting a prosecution. He's battling the governor, the attorney general, and a team. They got a team coming after him. Governor Rick Scott asked for calm after the second-degree murder charge. Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, who I think's a nitwit. She's a Republican, by the way, those of you that saying I don't ever pick on Republicans. I've heard her speak on Fox News enough time about Obamacare that I've drawn the conclusion she's a nitwit. Listen to this. This is from General Pam Bondi's statement. When I worked with Governor Scott to appoint State Attorney General Angela Corey, to the case involving Trayvon Martin, I did so with the full confidence that a swift and thorough investigation would be conducted. Today, State Attorney Corey's decision to press charges for the shooting shows the commitment to bring justice to Trayvon's family and process for Zimmerman. No, it doesn't. Are you telling me that this is what they would be saying if Angela Corey walked to the microphone and said, hey, we've decided that there's going to be no charges pressed, just like the Seminole County prosecutor and just like the Seminole County Police Department? No. You've got Al Sharpton. You get them all. And they win again. Al Sharpton and all of these race baiters and they win again. Beat the drum. We're going to have riots. Black Panthers. We're going to have a bounty. We're going to do this. You know what, folks? A decision to arrest and a decision to prosecute is supposed to be impartial law enforcement, impartial prosecutor in the county of where the crime is, not to calm a storm that's created by the media and created by those individuals who beat those drums. Bottom line, white guilt loses again. White guilt wins again. You got a white governor. You got a white attorney general. You've got George Zimmerman is white. By golly, a white man's killed a black man. There's got to be an arrest. There's got to be a prosecution, says the Black Panthers, who post a $10,000 bounty on his head. How many people in the tri-state, folks? It goes on day after day after day. Who's putting $10,000 bounties on people's heads in the tri-state to try to convince prosecutors to prosecute?
You got a problem, though. There's a problem with that, though.
No, I don't have a problem. Go ahead.
No. Here's the thing. Not every black parent or every white parent, for that matter, thinks the same way as the Black Panthers. That's the thing. They're the ones that are vocal. They're the ones that are getting media attention, and maybe I can see blaming the media a little bit for giving them the arena to do that. But that's not what I'm thinking. I'm not wanting to put a bounty on this guy's head.
TC, I got to ask you a question. Okay. Why didn't local law enforcement arrest him?
You know what? I got a clip of that. We can play that. Let me pull that clip up. And
why didn't the Seminole County prosecutor tell law enforcement that she wanted to charge him, convene a grand jury, or charge him and prosecute him? Why does the state get involved in this case, TC? TC, I got to ask you a question. Do you know how many times a governor and an attorney general gets involved in a murder prosecution in the state of Ohio, the state of Kentucky, the state of Alaska, the state of Tennessee, the state of New York? You want to know how many times, TC?
I imagine not very often.
Okay, then why? Why is the governor of Florida and the attorney general sticking their nose into a local? I'll tell you why. Because of the Black Panthers, because of Al Sharpton, because of the riot threats, because of the bounty threats, because they don't want to look like, we can't look like we didn't want to arrest the white guy who shot the black guy. We got to make sure we arrest and prosecute somebody so nobody can accuse us of being racist. I get sick and tired of people being worried about it.
The white guilt thing, that you brought that up, okay?
It is.
Let me ask you this question. What's the difference in the and I don't agree. I do not agree with you putting a bounty on someone who's not been arrested, even the guy's not been convicted. I disagree with that completely, okay? Got that? All right. However, what's the difference in that and, let's say, 20 Bulldog Nation members with an armed march on Washington?
A huge difference.
Why?
A Bulldog Nation, 20 members, armed march on Washington to change policy is a far cry from Black Panthers demanding a prosecution when, in fact, the local law enforcement and the local prosecutor had already determined no way. Poor George Zimmerman.
Isn't it
poor
both
George Zimmerman? Let's say George Zimmerman is a cold-blooded murder.
Okay.
Let's say he's a cold-blooded murder.
Uh-huh.
I still say Poor George Zimmerman. Why? Because he has got the power of not just the local law enforcement, not just the power of the local prosecutor's office. He's got the full power of the entire state coming down upon him. Have you ever felt something like that?
No, I have not.
It does not feel good. Does not feel good.
All right, well, okay, now I see you can relate to that. I get that.
It's incredible. Okay. Let's have fun with this. We got other news, too. When we come back, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160.
Coming up at 7:28, it's Bill O'Reilly's Talking Points here on Real Talk 1160. And now, back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. I got to just share something with everybody. If you live in, let's just do a little test. Let's say you live in Delhi. All right, let's say you live in Delhi. And let's say the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department decides that they're not going to charge you with a crime. And they consult with Joe Deters, and Joe Deters agrees and says, you know what, we're not going to charge this guy with a crime. And John Kasich and the Attorney General of Ohio say, we're going to appoint a special prosecutor examine. And the next thing you know, you're charged with a crime. You'd be like, holy cow, what just happened to me? Same thing in Kentucky. Let's say you live in Edgewood. Edgewood Police Department decide not to charge you. Rob Sanders and Gary Edmondson's office, prosecutors decide they're not going to charge you. Governor Beshear and Attorney General Conway said, you know what? We want a special prosecutor. Next thing you know, you're charged. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, that is what has happened to George Zimmerman. Now, if the facts are that George Zimmerman committed second-degree murder, and by the way, second-degree murder, he can serve as much as life. Second-degree murder is one step down from cold-blooded premeditated murder. For example, in other words, George Zimmerman said, I'm going out tonight to go kill Trayvon Martin. It's not that. They're charging him with a lesser crime, not too much lesser, which basically is that he killed him without premeditation. But I find it an incredible, and ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, I represent many, I think it's probably over 10 right now, African Americans, blacks, who have been shot, tased, improperly arrested by law enforcement. Okay? I've been on that side of this equation. What I don't get about this case is the fact the locals say no, the state says yes. And I'm telling you why they did is because of the drum beat. They win, guys. Al Sharpton and the Black Panthers won. Don't care what anybody says. They won. And it's a shame that we let them win. It's a shame.
This isn't a battle.
It's TC. You're so naive. It's not a battle.
They're
putting a bounty.
You said we let the. Who's we?
The public, the general public, let Trayvon let.
That's what the public's supposed to do.
Oh, the public is supposed to allow Black Panthers who threaten bounties and Al Sharpton and people that make all these threats to win.
No, these guys win if you want to use that terminology inadvertently. What the public has decided is that we want to see justice. We want answers to why this 17-year-old was killed.
I got it. You say you want to see justice, TC. How come choosing the local law enforcement and the local sheriff's department or the local prosecutor deciding not to prosecute and making that determination, how come that justice wasn't accepted? No, they don't want justice. They want a hanging, TC, because when they say, oh, we just want justice, we want justice. No, they couldn't handle the justice of no arrest, and they couldn't handle the justice of no prosecution.
Now, you're an attorney, so you know the law. I don't, but common sense says, okay, this situation, this is a special case. Maybe that's why they called in a special prosecutor. I mean, it's not supposed to be the norm,
Why is it more
It's not
special?
supposed to be the norm.
Why is this case more special? than the shootings in Avondale. The only reason why it's more special, the only reason why it's more special is because Al Sharpton and the Black Panthers made it more special.
No, if it's more special, if for anything, it's because you have a citizen on patrol that disobeys orders from the police department, and a teenager ends up dead.
Do we know what was
that doesn't
went down in Avondale?
That doesn't make Avondale's tragedy any less.
Crystal from Burlington, say something witty or wise. Crystal, go ahead.
I should go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I'm glad I got in the word edgewise. Okay. My question is this. I was listening last evening too on the television, and there were two lawyers there, okay? And one wanted to know why was the case not taken to the grand jury and let the grand jury decide what to do with George Zimmerman. And the one lawyer said, well, it was going to be extremely difficult to maybe get 8 members of the grand jury all decide on the same thing. Now, would George Zimmerman have the right, while the trial is going on, to bring that up in his trial and maybe say, hey, I would have liked it better if they would have taken my case to the grand jury.
Yes, the lawyers would be able to say that this was a direct indictment from the prosecutor and not an indictment from the grand jury. Yes, they would be able to tell the jury that. And, Crystal, you bring up a great point. There's an old saying that a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich if you wanted them to, because the only people that show up with the grand jury is the prosecutor and the police officer, maybe a witness. The defense attorney and the defendant does not get invited to the grand jury. Now, you can ask to testify if you're the defendant at the grand jury, and I've done that numerous times to stave off an indictment. I've had my clients go to the grand jury and give their side of the case, and it works. They get their side of the story so they don't get indicted. I find it even more suspicious and even more of an outrage, Crystal, in this particular case, that this woman, Angela Corey, this prosecutor, she didn't even think, in my humble opinion, that a grand jury would indict him. And let me tell you why I'm convinced of that. Prosecutors love to hide behind the grand jury. They're able to take something to the grand jury, and if the grand jury says no, it's like, well, the grand jury didn't indict. They take it to the grand jury says yes, they're able to say, well, the grand jury indicted him. So, Crystal, you have to examine this from Angela Corey's perspective, or her conduct. Well, why wouldn't she have taken it to the grand jury to indict him if she thought the grand jury would indict him? Because it would make her case stronger in public opinion, because she could say, well, the grand jury indicted him, so we're going forward. I am totally convinced that if she thought a grand jury would indict George Zimmerman, she would have presented it to the grand jury. And the fact she didn't is even more of an outrage, because she wants a prosecution, hell or high water. Okay? All right, Crystal?
Is she on?
No, she's still. I heard the radio. That was a good question, folks. You have to ask your question. How come Angela Corey did not present this to the grand jury? When we come back, we're going to dive into some other news. The quote of the day, a vote is like a rifle. Its usefulness depends on the character of the user. I like that. That's Theodore Roosevelt. And we got a great feel-good song for you today and a great joke. Oh, my. You're going to love my joke. This is the Bulldog hanging out with TC, who always challenges me, which I like. He keeps me on my toes. 2 Leos on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. I don't know if you had heard about this story, but during a recent publicity outing, Hillary Clinton snuck off to visit a fortune teller.
What?
That apparently was a pretty famous fortune teller. And she went into the dark, hazy room, those curtains. They had to pull the curtain back. And sitting in the table was this crystal ball. And then the mystic walked in and, talked to Hillary. And then did her little cards and did her crystal ball. And then all of a sudden, the mystic looked up at Hillary and said, "There's no easy way to say this, so I'll just be blunt. Prepare yourself to be a widow. Your husband will die a violent and horrible death this year." Visibly shaken, Hillary stared at the woman's lined face, then at the single flickering candle, then down at her hands. Hillary took a deep breath to compose herself. She simply had to know. She met the fortune teller's gaze, steadied her voice, and asked the question that was on her mind. Will I be acquitted?
Nice tag.
Acquit means not guilty for those of you that did not finish middle school. Shakespeare for the day. Sweet mercy is nobility's true badge. I love that. Sweet mercy is nobility's true badge. Let me tell you something, folks. The showing of mercy by the government, by the parent, by the teacher, by the friend, is incredible. I hate when I see mercy where mercy should be shown and it's not. It's terrible. It's terrible when that happens. Today in history, Texas became a U.S. territory in 1844. 1861, the Civil War began as the Confederate troops opened fire on Fort Sumter. 1945, FDR died of a cerebral hemorrhage. He was with his lover. 1945, Truman was sworn in as the 33rd president, of course, because Roosevelt died. And in 1988, Sonny Bono was elected mayor of Palm Springs, California. And he did a very good job until such time. He got elected to Congress, of course, until he hit a tree going skiing. And by the way, for those of you that ski, I don't know how in the heck you never hit a tree. Governor Christie slept. Get this. Now, he is a huge Springsteen supporter. And he apparently has seen Springsteen's show about 100 times. But according to news reports, the Madison Square Garden event, he apparently fell asleep. How do you fall asleep in a Bruce Springsteen concert?
Really?
Maybe it was a slow song. Now, this is a real shocker, Bulldog Nation and American jury. I am just absolutely shocked. Guess who called? Glenn from Mason, you're on Real Talk 1160. Say something witty or wise.
What's going on, Eric?
I'm just enjoying my day. Glenn, I had a great day yesterday. I settled a big case.
Well, that probably explains some of the ludicrous comments that you've made since the 7 o'clock hour when I started listening.
Thank you for listening, Glenn.
If the big boss is out there listening, today are days in which guys like TC deserve their own show. And TC, if you're listening, which I know you are, I want to thank you, man, because it's days like this where your voice is sorely needed, especially from a black perspective and a common sense perspective. I mean, Eric, I actually heard you say that even if George Zimmerman was a cold-blooded murderer, you still would feel sorry for him because he has the weight of the world on his shoulder. Who gives a damn about having the weight on the world of your shoulders if you killed an innocent 17-year-old young man? That's the most ridiculous comment I've ever freaking heard.
No, the reason why is because even if he's a cold-blooded murderer, according to our Constitution and Bill of Rights, he's entitled to his day in court. He's entitled to due process.
But
he's entitled to defend.
But the parents didn't get the arrest that the league detective said he should have been arrested for, at least manslaughter. So that's why when you talk about what the prosecutors and the attorneys did, they didn't do their damn job. You know, as a defense attorney, that if you have a case, especially like this, why doesn't the police department do GSR swabs, Eric? You know what the hell GSR swabs are.
Glenn, I got to ask you a question. How come the local law enforcement decided that they did not have enough to arrest Zimmerman? The local prosecutor decided she didn't have enough to prosecute. And how come the state? How often does that happen in Ohio? How often does that happen? You know what, Glenn? I've been very nice to you when you call, and I've been letting you speak, but here he goes talking over me again. Glenn, you can't talk over the host. I was being nice to you, letting you have your say. You wouldn't let me have my say, Glenn. I don't know why you do that. You do it all the time. Glenn, because you're still listening, I'm assuming, when was the last time in Kentucky, in Ohio, in Texas, wherever, that a local law enforcement, a local prosecutor decided not to arrest and charge someone with a crime, and the governor and the attorney general involved themselves. Never. And with all due respect to Trayvon Martin, and didn't you also hear what I said, Trayvon, Glenn? I said, poor Trayvon, poor his parents, regardless of his conduct. He's a 17-year-old boy. He didn't deserve to die, probably. It's a shame that he's dead. I wish he wasn't dead. I feel terrible for his parents, okay? But my point is that power, that abuse of power, and the only reason why it happened was Al Sharpton come to town, the Black Panthers come to town, they do this, and it makes me angry that it worked. It makes me angry that it worked. It really does. I'm going to, this is great stuff, man. I don't know, in sports, folks, I got to just share a few. Well, first of all, the Reds play the Nationals at 105 today. The Washington Nationals at 105. The Reds beat the Cardinals 4-3 yesterday. And because we've got so much fun things going on, the Bengals have signed a cornerback, Terrence Newman of the Cowboys. They gave up on him. And Keith Rivers apparently is going to be going to the Giants. But the big news that I have to mention in sports before we get to Jim and White Oak, the Wildcats, the UK Wildcats, added 6'10" center Nerlens Noel to its talent-rich 2012 class announced on ESPNU. I got to paint this picture for you, folks. They've got a great small forward, the number 2 small forward in the country. The number 1 small forward, Shabazz Muhammad, chose UCLA. But they've got a shooting guard. They got a point guard coming in. They needed a big man, and they got their man. I get a massage every Wednesday. Rather than listen to massage music while I got my massage, we turned on the television. So I'm on the massage table. When the announcement came in, I yelled at the top of my lungs and disturbed my entire house when the news was announced. Nerlens Noel is a Wildcat. Now we have to go out and get the he's a power forward that hasn't declared Bennett. We got to get Bennett, and then we're going to be stacked even more. UK repeats, barring injury and referees. UK repeats next year. It's incredible. DC, do you believe they got that guy? And with his hairstyle, we had Anthony Davis with the unibrow. Now we got the hairdo. Right. All the fans are going to have that hairdo. It's going to be fun.
Oh yeah.
I know you're a UK fan.
Oh yeah, Blue Fever, baby.
Hey, and by the way, I take a little offense to something that Glenn said about you.
What's that?
Because you're very sensitive to this. About the race stuff. He says it's good to have your perspective as a black man's opinion. Uh-huh. You know what, TC, and I know you know this, your opinion comes from TC as TC.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, you have a black perspective, but right. you and I agree on one thing. I mean, I'll be honest with you, TC, I don't look at you as a black man. You're a good guy. You're my buddy. You're my wingman. You know what I'm saying? Now, you happen to be black, but you don't see things all from a black perspective.
Well, you see this one. You see from a parent's perspective. That
is the best argument. By the way, I'm able to concede some things. The best argument that I've heard their lawyer, the Trayvon Martin's lawyer, say to people on talk show hosts, which I will agree with. Uh-huh. They said, if that was your child, would you want George Zimmerman arrested?
Yes.
And I will admit, hell yes.
Yeah.
I mean, in other words, I'm willing to admit, if that was my son that was shot, I'd feel like they do. Now, that doesn't mean that if the cops and the prosecutor didn't think he should have been arrested, that he should be arrested just because I want him to. But I'm willing to concede to Glenn and everybody else in the world, if my son got shot under those circumstances, I'd be wanting an arrest too.
And here's the scary part. My son Brent, I know for a fact there have been times when he told his mom he was one place and he was someplace else.
Right.
Now, maybe not a girl's house, not getting in trouble, but he said he was going to be at his buddy's house and he wasn't. He's walking home somewhere, something like that could happen. Man, I'd lose my mind.
I would too.
Lose my mind.
Hey, Jim and White Oak, can you stick around for a 2-minute break?
Where's Jim?
Jim.
Absolutely.
All right, you hold on, Jim, because I don't want to cut him short. Jim always has some good things to say. Jack Wagons today. Hillary Rosen attacked Ann Romney on Twitter saying, she's never worked a day in her life. Are you kidding me? A mom? Moms unite. Moms unite. You raised 5 boys, you've worked.
Yeah, only 5?
Only 5. And Kevin Costner, Princess Diana, requested he write a script for Bodyguard 2. She requested a kiss scene.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We come back. Jim from White Oak on Real Talk 1160.
This weekend, Saturday, would be a great day to get back into the garden with Denny McEwen. He's on now from 7 a.m. to 10 Saturday morning here on Real Talk 1160. And now back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Isn't it great when you have excitement for your team? You know, all these people that say sports doesn't matter. Now, don't get me wrong. Studying hard is more important than sports. But sports on all level, high school, college, even grade school, it brings so much joy to the participants and the watchers.
You know,
and you know what? It's a diversion from freaking. It gets us through the day, man.
Yeah, a diversion from reality.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the thing about it is, you see that you're building something. Okay,
right?
You're building a team.
Right.
You see the structure's getting stronger. It's like, and the anticipation of next year. Oh man, I can't wait. You know,
right?
That's what it is.
And how about this, man? I mean, UK, Indiana, Bobby Knight's going bonkers about this one and done. And you know what? The NCAA created this rule, okay? Because they wouldn't let, and the NBA did too. Remember, folks, the NBA said they weren't going to let people go from high school to college anymore, or the NBA anymore. So it's kind of like, okay, you got to go to college one year. So Calipari says, all right. And he disproved that, you can't win a national championship with this. He just proved that wrong. It's like, reload. And as a UK fan, and I'll speak for Big Blue Nation. I got one next to me. My buddy Bill Dillinger's here, and we all are like, this is fun. New guys to root for, next. New guys to root for, next. And you know what? People drop out all the time. Baseball players go from high school to the minor leagues. They don't even play college ball. So what that, and I love Calipari's comment. He goes, so Bill Gates shouldn't have dropped out of college, and Steve Jobs shouldn't have dropped out of college and changed the world?
Right, yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah, that's true. And you know who else? Was it not Ted Koppel? Peter Jennings. Peter Jennings, I think, never finished college either.
Really?
I believe it was Peter Jennings, yeah.
But I tell you right now, if you're a UK fan, it's exciting.
Yeah.
We got to reload.
Not that he's, not a big advocate for education. Of course he is.
Right.
Stay in school, kids.
They say this. They say, well, what's your graduation rate? Hell no, they're going to the NBA. Jim in White Oak, go ahead. What's your witty and wise comments on this issue?
I hope they're. I don't know if they're witty, but sports is also a big character builder, I think, for young people.
Yes, it is.
The grade school and really a good preparation for life, as long as we don't have the everybody gets a trophy attitude.
Right.
Now, I got in right on the tail end of you and TC disagreeing on the Florida situation. I've never heard you two disagree before, so I'm sorry I missed it, but.
We have.
Check the podcast.
We're Leos, man. I finally figured out why he and I disagree. It's not a black-white thing. We're two Leos, man.
Yeah. On the Florida situation, whatever happened between the time that Zimmerman hung up with the 911 people, how did it get from that situation to where they were face-to-face exchanging words, then grappling on the ground? If that could be resolved, then you would kind of know who is at fault, but I don't think anybody is. I've never heard anyone address that. I've never and taking a page out of your book, Bulldog, and what I believe, if I was in Zimmerman's case and I was innocent, I would go on a tape right now.
Yep.
Maybe I don't want a press conference, but I would go on a tape and tell what happened. Also,
I'm glad you brought that up, Jim. Because go ahead, finish your thought.
Okay, I just wanted to say that also it is at least said last night on, I believe it was a CNN Pierce Morgan show. He was interviewing Zimmerman's brother, that Trayvon's girlfriend was on a cell phone call with him while he was walking away, walking through that area as Zimmerman he knew Zimmerman was looking. Now, if that's true, then that's going to be a key testimony. But I would go, and the thing that's opening this to such volatility is the police department or Zimmerman not coming forth and saying, in one case, why they didn't indict him, or in Zimmerman's case, what happened, because what happened between the end of that call and how they were grappling on the ground, to me, is the key to the whole thing.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I want everybody to know that I'd be the first person that if George Zimmerman baited this young boy into something so he could shoot him, I say let's convict George Zimmerman for second-degree murder. I want to stress this. What troubles me about the case, Jim, which I've expressed, is the fact that the local law enforcement, you have to assume, spoke to everybody, had this discussion, spoke to the prosecutor, and didn't, and the state comes in. But you hit the nail on the head, and thanks for reminding me, because this is something I've advocated from the beginning. If George Zimmerman is innocent, and his lawyers, and I cannot stand these anal retentive lawyers say, oh, we don't want you to talk, we don't want you to talk. If George Zimmerman is telling the truth and he's innocent, he doesn't have to worry about contradicting himself. He needs to go on national television, because guess what? And you know what? Let me give you an example. This is an example of maybe the lawyers just got him charged. Why? Because if George Zimmerman early on would have went in front of the cameras and told his side of the story, maybe Al Sharpton, the Black Panthers, and everybody else would have said, well, okay, maybe we got this wrong here. And it would have died down. By being silent, these lawyers, and you know why the lawyers do it? So the lawyers make more money. So the lawyers get more action. The lawyers get more, we can go to a trial now. It's absolutely wrong.
They're going to ruin this guy's life so they can make a few extra bucks?
Trust me. It happens.
Man.
It happens.
That's ridiculous, It
is sad. Let me give you an example right now, okay? I'm on the sidelines waiting to step in and take over the Sarah Jones case. Right. And everybody just sit back and watch what happens when that happens. And I'm telling you, it's an incredible situation how these lawyers, they go, it's like they open up the textbook. They open a textbook and say, if your client is charged with a crime, never have them talk. What? Yeah. What? That's a stupid rule, folks. That is a stupid rule. And I have had 3 clients I can name charged with rape and other serious crimes that they were innocent of, save them from ever being charged by sending them to the grand jury, calling the prosecutors, hey, Bill wants to come down there and testify at the grand jury. Okay, guess what, folks? I staved them from even being charged. True story. The other lawyer that were working on these cases before I took over were telling them, no, you don't want to go to the grand jury. You don't want to go to the grand jury. Why? So then they're charged. All right, now I need a $5,000 retainer because you've been charged. Heck, I saved them all the money by not getting them charged. I do this. Right. I think about my client's life. I had Nicole Howe's life in my hands. I am going to have April 24th, Sarah Jones and Cheryl Jones' life in my hands. What is best for them, not what's best for me.
Okay, what about this situation? Let's say maybe George Zimmerman is not guilty of second-degree murder, but maybe in the confrontation, if he told the truth, would incriminate himself in something else that he did, and that's why his lawyers told him to be quiet.
That is true. If George Zimmerman is guilty, that could explain why he ain't talking.
Right.
Great point, TC.
So,
Chip and Independence, you're on Real Talk 1160, buddy.
Morning, Eric.
Good morning, Chip.
You were talking about these guys going to UK for a year and then going to the NBA?
Yes.
Okay, the folks that are crying you have to stay in school are the ones that can't compare bank accounts with these guys.
You know what? You're absolutely right, Chip. Are you mean to tell me what a self-righteous jerk to say, well, they should stay in school, and you're making $20,000 a year working at McDonald's or something, or a middle management job making $50,000, and you're going to act like they should stay in college. Really? Because let me tell you something. I'm jealous. I admit it, Chip. I wish I could make the kind of money they're going to make.
Now, here's the issue, though. These guys need to pay attention while they're in school to figure out how to keep their money rather than have somebody say, I can help you invest that doesn't have any anyway.
You know what? I think Calipari takes good care of his people. My guess is Calipari probably hooks them up with some good advisors and some good folks. The only UK Wildcat that seems to have screwed it up was Antoine Walker, but he apparently had a gambling debt problem. Yeah. Because no other UK Wildcats I know have had financial issues
Not that I've heard
after
of.
going to the NBA except Antoine Walker.
But
Thanks, Chip.
Think about this. The guys that stay in school, say become the accountants, they handle the money for these guys.
There you go.
You know, these ball players don't know what they're
How do
doing
you
with their
turn
money.
down guaranteed contracts for millions?
It's
You
hard.
can always go back to college.
It's really hard.
On Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, we've had a great first hour. We're going to even have a better second hour. We're going to start it out by changing the mood here. You know, there was Hendrix. There was The Who. There were The Doors. There was Janis Joplin. There were all those groups. But there was also Jefferson Airplane. The truth! Your feel-good song, baby. Smoke one.
Fine cigar, you meant, right?
This song gives me goosebumps. I love this
Yeah.
song. One time, this was my favorite song of all. I mean, I just
Really?
love this song.
What was it,
Body
Grease?
to love.
Grease.
Yes. Oh, psychedelic.
Do you know she talks about going to the White House in, I think, her memoirs? Did you hear about that story?
Yeah.
And her idea was to put acid in Nixon's
Yes.
coffee.
Yes. Whoa.
You could get arrested for that.
Yes. Acid for Richard Nixon. He didn't need acid.
No.
He needed X-Lax. Uptight.
I'm not a crook.
Love, don't you need some? To go through life with the name Grace Slick.
What a great name.
Like Thunder Rock. Jimmy Quick. Here, listen to this. Surrealistic Pillow. Think there was some acid dropped when they did Surrealistic Pillow?
I'm pretty sure there might have been something going on. And where are they now? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Funny
that's
story, there was a rock cartoon put out, and this was the lead song in the cartoon. I forget the name of it. And I took a date to this movie and to dinner. It was the only date I ever had with her. Years later, I'm in a trial, and I'm questioning this witness. And lo and behold, I found out in the middle of my questioning that was the date.
right. Oh, no.
And I said, do you remember the Jefferson Airplane song?
Did you have to recuse yourself from that case?
No.
Okay, no conflict of interest
No
there?
conflict.
Okay,
That was the weirdest moment I've ever had in a trial.
I'll bet.
It played out right in front of the jury. The jury was laughing their butts off. I said, did I go out with you? I mean, I said this in open court. Did I go out with you?
Did you really?
Yes. I'm like, oops.
Yeah, we dated. Did we go? Yeah, whatever. How come you never called me back? You're under oath.
Hey, she's a nice girl, so I don't think she'd mind me saying her name. Her name was Joanne Rue.
Really?
And she now owns, with her husband, NovaCare Rehab.
Really?
Physical therapy.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's done well. She's done well.
But she should call Jamie Sloy.
But she was a nice girl, but I just, it was so embarrassing. I'll be honest with you, she didn't look very friendly.
Really?
Of course, she was on the witness stand. Now, she wasn't a defendant. She was just a witness.
Now, see, if I were in your position, if I were an attorney, if I was an attorney, and an ex-girlfriend was on the stand, under oath, I would have to ask her, you cheat on me when we were dating? Remember, you are under oath. Come on, tell the truth, huh? Were you hanging out with Brad?
Speaking of law, yesterday I was in an all-day mediation, and most of the stuff that happens during a mediation is confidential. However, I can share some things with you. First and foremost,
I like sharing.
You've heard me discuss the St. Bernard toxic waste dump case.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, I am very pleased to announce that we have settled that case.
Really?
It has been resolved, and I want to thank all of my St. Bernard clients, the 12 property owners. I'm telling you right now, they are a great group of people, and it has been an honor to represent them, and we got it resolved. And once again, proving why I should have an attorney reality show. If the cameras were on us yesterday behind the scenes, people would be rolling in the aisles. I will share a few highlights, like Larry Forgy came up and was arguing a case in the Sixth Circuit. So early on in the mediation, he went to Izzy's, and he wanted me to come see him. So I knew it was going to be a long wait between the time of the initial the mediator meeting with the other side and us. So I went out of the Taft building, Taft Law Firm's building, and I ran 2 blocks in my cowboy boots and suit to Izzy's, met with Larry, and then ran 2 blocks back before the mediator came back into the room.
Izzy's must give some great service.
I didn't eat.
Oh.
But you could picture the Bulldog running through the streets of Cincinnati in his cowboy boots and suit. It was a hoot.
Well, congratulations to, like you said, the 12 property owners.
Yes.
And all 3 of their arms.
And I've told the city, I always talk about men are able to like punch each other and have brawls and then still be buddies, and women hold grudges. I told the mayor and the city manager and the lawyer for the village, all's well that ends well. I've always was rubbing my heads why they didn't resolve this, but I want to thank them and say good job that they did the right thing to resolve this case.
Nice.
I also got to thank the Ohio Attorney General, who definitely played a huge role in helping us get this done. But it's a nice feeling. I went home exhausted.
Really?
I went home exhausted. I do have to share something else with everybody. All I'm going to say is this, that during the mediation, I had some signals that to do, and I'll share this one day with everybody, with my clients, like to send them signals, nonverbal signals. And it was a hoot, man. Oh, my God, it was a hoot.
That's how that works, huh?
Yeah, there's some people don't realize. And if we would have had a video camera on our side of the mediation yesterday, oh, God, it would have been some fun stuff, man. Oh, God. We'll keep that a secret, won't we, beloved clients?
It must be hard for the witnesses. Wait, does he want me to bunt? Swing away. Wow, I can't wait a minute.
What's that mean? What's that mean?
Yeah, steal.
By the way,
Okay.
a little inside baseball, folks. If you don't think that there's some hand, and other nonverbal signals that happen, yeah, right.
No, not at all.
You know what? This is kind of a funny story and a sad story at the same time. The 2011 median annual salary for a male Obama White House employee is $71,000, and for a female employee, it's only $60,000.
Uh-oh.
He loves those women. How many times have I told you, you elected this guy, you can save America by not re-electing him? Isn't that a why wouldn't you be mad? I mean, there's no reason for women to be making. You know what, though, folks?
Tell you why.
Guess what? That goes around every place in the country. It just isn't Obama's White House.
I'll tell you why. Are there any female Secret Service agents?
That's a good point. I don't know.
Because I've never seen one. Of course, they're secret. Maybe they are. But they're probably at a higher pay scale, which means, and if it's just a job that only the males have, that's going to put them in a higher bracket.
And then this is from the AP, Mitt Romney. Now the president says, I didn't cause this recession. Romney says he just made it worse and made it longer. Because it lasted longer, more and more women lost jobs, such that in the last 3.5 years, 92.3% of the people who lost jobs have been women. Is that true?
Didn't know that.
Are women the ones getting hammered?
How many of them worked for companies that were owned by Bain Capital?
Speaking of women, the fantasy maid service of Lubbock, Texas, bills itself as offering nude or topless maid service, charging $100 an hour for one maid and $150 an hour for 2, offering discounts for the police.
Really?
Police in Lubbock are keeping close tabs on the business. Now, I got to ask you a question, TC. If you are somebody that hires a topless maid to clean your house, the only benefit of that is if you're sitting there watching them clean your house, which means you could be cleaning your own house instead of paying the topless maids.
Yeah, but it's not nearly as entertaining, I'm sure.
You know what? This is a great idea.
Where Playboy bunnies meet dust bunnies.
Good one, TC. Witty and wise. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I'll bet you they're making bank. I mean, I got to ask you a question. If you had to choose between that kind of maid service or the regular dust bunny maid service, who you going to choose?
I think dust bunnies beat Alice the maid any day.
I got this image in my head of Carmela out of town and Tony Soprano in his house
Yeah.
ordering this kind of a maid service.
Yeah. You missed a spot.
Hey, can you bend over and clean that a little bit more there?
You know, I think I'm going to sign up. Cincinnati's recruiting now for police officers. Maybe if I go and get it on the academy, move down to Texas. You said to get a special if you're in law enforcement, right?
You're right. By the way, Texas are flying in on this. Ladybug says there are female Secret Service agents.
Oh, there are. Okay.
There are.
Then there's no excuse.
Then there's no excuse. Has anybody ever, we need somebody to call in that has tried a topless maid service, and was it worth the extra money? And what are the rules? No gawking, no touching. I know they always get the no touch rule.
Yeah.
I've heard that there's a no touch rule in these kind of situations.
Don't invade my personal space.
No touch rules. More women issues. Kathy Samford,
You got
29,
female issues? What's going on?
was the girls' volleyball coach at Heritage Christian Academy for 3 years and recently began teaching science classes. And the school acknowledged firing her last fall after she became pregnant out of wedlock. How come religions, organizations aren't very Christian? Is that the break music?
No, I don't know what that is. I guess it is a break music. Okay.
When we come back, we got some Charlie Manson news
right.
on Real Talk 1160.
And coming up in just 11 minutes, it's the Huckabee Report at 8:30 here on 1160. And now back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. You know, I work hard on my blog and my newsletter, and it kind of serves as my preparation for the show. And I want to encourage everybody to sign up for it. I'm not joking when I say this, folks. You can sign up, contact me, send me an email, eric@ericdeters.com, and you can scroll through my newsletter, and instead of getting links, you know, where you get links and you bounce off and it takes all that time to go back and forth links, what we do is we take the major stories of the day and summarize them in a couple sentences. And you can always, check it out on Google if you like. But what we do is we give you the news in clear, crisp fashion, and it's very comprehensive. I mean, we take the Wall Street Journal, we take the New York Times, we take the Inquirer, we take all this news and we condense it. We check out all the websites. We basically are doing our own Drudge Report, but unlike the Drudge Report, no links. We give you the crisp, and we organize it. So, like, if you want to skip world news, you can skip world news. But you scroll down, and I'm telling you, folks, it's better than the Inquirer. I mean, it is a comprehensive news presentation that you can't beat. But at the same time, there's still some things that we miss. And I'm laughing my butts off at a break because I'm telling TC, said, hey, did you see that Charles Manson story? And I was thinking it was the one I'm about to report, but it was another one. So I'm going to let TC report that after I give you this. We were joking, and now Charlie Manson, let's face it, what he did was not a joking matter. But it is kind of funny that the guy keeps coming up for parole over and over again, and he keeps getting denied. This is reported from the CNN. Notorious killer Charles Manson, 77, was denied parole Wednesday after a California parole panel could find nothing good as far as suitability for his being paroled, a commissioner said. I'm going to repeat that. Could find nothing good as far as suitability. His next parole hearing, he's going to be 92, 2027. Manson did not show up for his hearing. Now, apparently he's gotten tired of showing up and getting rejected with that Nazi swastika. Charlie's like, I'm not going to go this year. They're just going to deny me anyway. Because they could not find anything as far. Now, come on. What a tough decision. The parole board looks at the packet and sees those terrible pictures of all the killings and all the craziness. And the parole board's got to go, And I can imagine one of the members going, well let's talk about this. Maybe we should evaluate this. Oh, my God.
Now, there's your bleeding heart liberal right there.
Oh, my God.
Maybe he's changed.
Yeah, maybe he's changed. Maybe we could find a place for him in society.
He might have just been having a bad day.
So anyway, I was excited about reporting this story because I thought it was funny, and TC trumped me. So TC, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the American jury of Bulldog Nation what you have to report about Charlie Manson.
This is kind of weird because there's this guy who claims that he's Charlie Manson's son.
Now,
He wants a DNA test.
now, why in the hell, if you were Charlie Manson's son, would you want to be Charlie Manson's son? And he's never going to get a job again. They're going to say he has the gene, man. He's got this bad gene pool. We don't want him around here. If we make him mad, he'll kill us all.
This kid's like,
I'm your father, Luke.
you know, like, oh no.
Now, I wonder if Charlie will claim him. Like, yes, I was with your mother. It was a wild night on acid.
Right, exactly.
How old is this guy?
I'm not
Well,
sure.
wait a
Seems
minute.
like it is.
He has to be pretty old because Manson's been in prison.
He's been gone for a while, so yeah. He looks like he could write a country song. Charlie Manson is my dad. He's got a cowboy hat on. You know that'd be number one.
I apologize for laughing in the microphone.
That would be number one.
Charlie Manson is my dad.
Can you imagine that?
God, I'm cracking. You're killing me, TC. Charlie Manson's my dad. Number one hit.
Oh, yeah. The worst country song ever. Man.
Yesterday, I was talking to my St. Bernard clients about another case that I have, which will stay anonymous. Okay. And we got laughing so hard. We were falling off our chairs. And I got the laugh gene going right now. But Charlie Manson is my dad. Number one on the country music charts. They play it at all these country music award programs. It would be played.
That'd be it.
Charlie Manson's my daddy.
So we get Shanna to sing that, you know?
By the way, Shanna's got a great voice, and I got to give her Oracle status. She texted me some funny, witty, and wise things yesterday, and I told her that I would give her Oracle status. Of course, I couldn't reveal all the things that she texted. By the way, it was nothing sexual, but she would get in trouble for some of the things. But anyway, she gets Oracle status for being witty and wise, and she has a great voice on the stuff she does with you.
Does, yeah. You know, for the opening day parade, she was pretty much one that organized all that.
She sure did.
Us, you know? She
did a great job of organizing it. U.S. tax code. I always say, this is kind of funny. It's like a competition, TC. I have been preaching, and it wasn't an original thought, but I picked up on this, and I say it all the time, that the U.S. tax code is 10 times the size of the Bible. In other words, you take the Bible, there's 10 times the amount of words for the U.S. tax code in the Bible. It's ridiculous. Well, the latest thing, somebody's come out and said, it is 4 times the size of Shakespeare's complete works. So it's kind of like, we're going to have this competition. It's 10 times the size of the Bible. It's 4 times the size of Shakespeare. Well, if you take Hugo, God, what's guy? I had just a brain infarction.
Hugo Chavez?
Not Hugo. He's dying of cancer. But you take these other great, Victor Hugo. You take Victor Hugo's complete works. It's 6 times the size of Victor Hugo's work. The bottom line is the tax code's long.
It is. What happened to 999?
Yeah, let's go 99. Well, of course, he's still 999, according to Herman Cain, is still alive and well. He has not given up on 999. He did that interview with Hannity. He started talking about 999, and I just started laughing. Come on, Herman.
Yeah. Well, you know.
And here's some funny things. Newt's still in the race. Is Herman Cain going to go down the ship with Newt, or is Herman Cain going to endorse Romney? And how about Michael DeWine? Let's talk about some local issues. Michael DeWine dumps Romney for Santorum.
Does he real? Oh, wow.
So is he going to go back? Hey, Mitt, I'd like to be back in the camp. No, thank you.
Boy, did I make a mistake. Well, look at Lieberman.
Yes.
You ground him, you punish him for a couple of weeks, and then you let him back in the fold,
More Ohio news. Rob Portman, there's a story on the front page of the Enquirer. He's on the short list for vice president. he wasn't mentioned by the Wall Street Journal when they did their analysis, but Portman makes a lot of sense from the following reasons. He's a Busher, so you got ties with the Bush campaign team and all that. But also, he is a United States Senator from Ohio.
Yeah.
And you need Ohio to win, so that is a huge consideration. And in addition to that, Portman comes from money. The Portman Equipment Company makes forklifts, I believe, and they're a great tri-state family. And, I'm very confident that Portman would also be an asset in the money-raising department. So I don't know. He's the only thing I don't like about Portman. He's still part of the establishment. But as I have said, I can be a hypocrite too. I like the local establishment Republican Party because Joe Deters and all the fine Cincinnatians that I respect and admire, like Castellini and the Barrett family and the Williams family. They're all part of the establishment, and I like them. So I don't like the establishment Republican Party except Hamilton County.
Except Hamilton County. Love you guys. I was just going to ask you about Portman. What may be another cabinet position for him? Because, really, does Romney need the money?
That's a good point.
I mean, he needs Ohio.
He needs Ohio. He needs Ohio.
So promise him something else.
Yeah. Well, he was the budget director for Bush, I think. He was in the budget office.
Okay.
And he was also in a trade office. He was in a trade position and a budget position.
Really?
So he's had – I still say you can't beat Rubio.
Yeah.
I still say you can't beat Rubio. But then again, though, there are some that say that Romney's going to win Florida anyway because some of the issues that Obama has had with certain special interest groups that he can win. So if you need a person to win a state, maybe you need a person to win Ohio more than you do Florida.
Yeah, that's a good point.
When we come back, more Radio Superbity. We're having a blast on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog. Keep that rolling there, TC. I love that song. Going to be a great day here in the Tri-State.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we dance with your dates? Classic, baby. Sure.
What was that, Revenge of the Nerds?
No, that was Animal House.
Animal House.
And how about
different frat house?
Hey, you gotta love Otter, baby. Otter goes to that house, because he knows that Leibowitz or whatever her name is dead, and he goes there to say, oh, she's dead, really? Well, is there anything I can do? Well, can you and some of your friends go out on a date with us? And those girls go with him. And then when he's in the car, when those guys are in there with he's in the car making out with her, and he goes, "Can I do anything? Move to the right."
Great pickup.
You gotta
line.
love Otter, baby.
Try that line sometime.
Stratton was my hero. I mean, can you imagine if you actually had a night out with you're in college and you have a night out with the dean's wife? Wow. All right, we have some more interesting news to report. We got Prankster. Let's get Prankster on here. Prankster, say something witty and wise for me, buddy.
Yes, I got a true story for you. It's about Charles Manson. He grew up on Vine Street. This is true. My older second cousins actually lived on Vine Street.
Manson was from Cincinnati, wasn't he?
Yeah, seriously.
Originally.
My older second cousins grew up on Vine Street down near the Mad Frog Bar where Charlie lived and knew him as boys. And that's a true story.
What kind of a kid was he?
Yeah, did you pick on him? Is that why? Does he get picked on and bullied? Is that why he turned out the way he was?
I'm sorry?
Is that why he was being picked on? He turned out the way he was because he was picked on?
No, my second cousin is about as bad as him, but not quite. And that's a true story.
I believe it, Prankster. That is right. So there was a Cincinnati connection to Manson, I think.
Well, that's something to write about. I grew up next to Charlie Manson. We used to hang out, run around together.
That can be part of the country music song.
Exactly.
Now, this is...
Charlie's my daddy.
I'm anxious to get your perspective on this, TC, as well as ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, if you want to call in. 513-579-1160, 513-579-1160. Alan West, who Sarah Palin says, should be the VP, and I've liked Alan West, and I have to admit, I support Alan West, and I think that the Democratic Party is filled with socialists. But ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, there's a big difference between a communist and a socialist. There really is a big difference between a communist and a socialist. A communist, socialists are, everything equal, so forth and so on. Communist, they take it to a totally different level because the power of the state to dictate things and be draconian. Now, I guess you could argue, well, maybe that applies. But this is from Alan West. The Communist Party is publicly referred to the Progressive Caucus as its allies. The Progressive Caucus speaks for itself. These individuals certainly aren't proponents of free market and individual economic freedom, which is true. But Alan West said that 75 of the Progressive Caucus members are communists. And the problem with that statement, and I love you, Alan West, is it conjures up the image of, let's not overplay our cards. It conjures up of the McCarthy hearings, where he started accusing everybody of being a communist.
Right. Well, some of them have traveled to Cuba.
Ooh. You know what, TC? You bring that up. I have to admit, I'd like to go to Cuba. I'd be a little scared while I was there.
Right.
But I heard the country's beautiful.
Yeah.
The beaches are beautiful. It would be just like walking back in time. All the cars are from the 1950s. Now, if other countries, you know what? I never did. I've never examined this issue. Do other countries have the same trade prohibitions as the United States? Because I'm thinking, well, the Japanese make cars. How come they don't have modern Toyotas? Why do they have all those old 1950 cars and they don't have any modern cars?
I have always wondered about that. I don't know. I mean, they can't be all self-contained. Can you imagine fixing the same car for 30, 40 years?
No.
Bring it back again, huh? Yep.
Somebody in Bulldog Nation, you need to research that for me. Eric at ericdeters.com and send us the answer, because I would assume that Japan and other car-making countries don't have the same trade restrictions with them.
Right. They kind of believe the same things politically, But can you imagine one day when Cuba is no longer under communist rule?
Oh, my goodness.
The economic boom that's going to happen there.
It'll be incredible, because you got tourism, the weather, sugar.
And they're right down the street from Florida.
A 90-mile, you're right. I understand. I think it's 90 miles from Key West.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this, from being in Key West, you can see the lights of Havana. You can at nighttime, and you can see this little light. You can see the lights from Havana. From Key West.
Can you imagine the trade?
Yeah, people sitting there in Key West going, we can send them some Jimmy Buffett, and they can send us some good cigars.
Right, exactly. No one will ever have to know.
We can, and Key West is famous for, there's a big gay population down there.
I thought you were going to say Hemingway.
I wonder about Cuba. Is there a gay population in Cuba?
I don't know.
Because we could have some trade there. We're going to.
No, that's all right. We don't want anything in return. Go ahead.
Northern Kentucky football. By the way, I'm not anti-gay. I have plenty of gay friends. But not like that.
And you represent them as well.
And I represent them as well. I like the way you say that.
In Ohio.
By the way.
For 12 more days.
For 12 more. This is a true story. We do have a gay discrimination case.
Okay.
A guy that worked for a company that we won't mention because they might want to advertise on our show, but it's a pet store. They discriminated against a guy because he was gay. And I am defending his civil rights. Just like Al Sharpton would be proud of me. This is a neat story. There's a film called 23 Blast, which is based upon the true story of a blind football player, Travis Freeman, in Corbin, Kentucky. By the way, I got my Aunt Jan's family, the Robinsons, are from Corbin, Kentucky. Members of the Northern Kentucky Bulldogs, a semi-professional football team which I have sponsored in the past, the Northern Kentucky Bull. I'm a little disappointed into them because the Bulldogs logo isn't the same as the logo it's supposed to be, but neither. I digressed.
All right.
They're going to be bussed down to Corbin to shoot scenes for the film. So these guys are going to be famous.
Did you say blind?
Yeah, the football player named Travis Freeman was blind.
How does a guy play? I've got to see this.
I know. I guess, I thought of this. If you were an offensive lineman, you're lined up and, hit what you see, hit what you feel in front of you.
Right. Or maybe you can just see images.
Yeah, I don't know if he's completely blind, but isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, that is.
I heard a great joke the other day about, which maybe we can tell as a joke, a great joke about Tiger Woods playing golf against Stevie Wonder. And it's a pretty good joke. I want everybody, if you need to email me at eric@ericdeters.com. You can also follow me on Twitter called Bull Law. In addition to that, you can text me at 859-250-2527 if you've got something that you'd like to legal, if it's in Ohio for 12 more days, Kentucky after that, or Florida. I have volunteered to go. Maybe, you know what, though? I've kind of changed. He's got lawyers. It would be a pain in the butt not to be paid and go back and forth on an airplane to Florida to represent George Zimmerman. But I would do it. I would do it.
Kind of expensive.
If Zimmerman called me and said, hey, do you want to do it? I would do it. Hamilton County Grand Jury handed up an indictment accusing Jose Laboy Lavina, a Cincinnati police officer, of tampering with records and 2 counts each of theft in office and bribery. Reached at home after hours, Assistant Prosecutor Bill Anderson, who's a good prosecutor, confirmed that LaBoy Lavina is accused of shaking down an illegal immigrant for money in order to help him qualify for a visa. Good golly. Isn't that terrible?
Now, is this a friend of his, a buddy, somebody, or just someone that he's
the guy's name is Jose LaBoy Lavina. Draw the conclusion he's Hispanic.
I'm just curious, just wondering.
Yeah,
you know?
Latino.
You know?
But that's sad.
Help a brother out.
Help a brother out. Come on. Kasich on climate change. This is from the Columbus Dispatch. See, we follow everything. This isn't popular to always say, but I believe there's a problem with climate change in the atmosphere, Kasich says. I believe it. I don't know how much there is, but I also know the good Lord wants us to be good stewards of his creation. Kasich's off the chain. And so at the end of the day, if we can find these breakthroughs to help us have a cleaner environment, I'm all for it. You know what? I think it's really arrogant that we think that we have the power for climate change, when in reality, and I've studied a little astrology, do you know, TC, that the sun is expanding? Okay, the sun is filled with hydrogen and helium, and it expands every year. It gets closer and closer to us. One day, the sun is going to consume Earth. It's going to be millions of years from now, but it's going to consume the Earth because it keeps expanding.
It's not going to happen before next Saturday, is it? Because
No.
UC Bearcats are playing.
No,
Okay, all right.
it will not be before the Bearcat game.
Okay.
It'll be millions of years after the Bearcat game.
Okay, good.
And for UK's second straight national championship,
Right, after
because we
that.
wouldn't want that to get screwed up.
Exactly. Waste a first-round pick? No, I'm sorry.
When we come back, we've never done this before. Let's have some fun, TC, in the last segment. Let's go over everybody's horoscope for today.
You want to?
Let's have a horoscope day.
All right.
Maybe Ed Kluska can call in.
Yeah, Ed. We haven't talked to Ed in a while.
We'll see what George Zimmerman's horoscope is. On Real Talk, you're going to have a bad day. Real Talk 1160.
And once you get to work, if you're not near the radio, use the TuneIn Radio app free on your iPhone, BlackBerry, or Android. You can listen to Real Talk 1160 24 hours a day. And now, back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. You know, TC, Mark from Bulldog Nation sent me a text and said that, can you imagine how awesome the cruise industry would have it with cruises to Cuba?
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Kathy Lee would make a fortune.
We did something today. A buddy of mine, Bill Dellinger from Delta Realty, just wanted to come in and see the studio and hang out, and I let him stay here for all 2 hours. I never gave him the microphone. But I want to plug Delta Realty and Bill Dellinger, my buddy that came in and hung out with me all day. He's a big UK fan, kind of funny. In honor of Mr. Knowles, who chose UK, I wore my UK shirt. And, of course,
Nice.
Bill, who went to UK and graduated from there, has his UK shirt. We were thinking, yesterday we had that history about TR being the first submarine rider, the first airplane rider, president. You know, TC, we are the only radio show in the tri-state that has a video cast. We are the only radio talk show host who gives out his cell phone number, and I am the only radio talk show host with a sidekick guy behind the glass named TC.
That's true. You are.
So we're special here. We're special. Now, horoscopes, get this. Bill handed me the newspaper horoscope. This is no kidding, folks. You're a Leo if you're born from July 23rd. Come on, guys. We got to find out what George Zimmerman's birthday is. July 23rd to August 22nd. Leo, you'll be in one of your generous moods times 3.
Oh.
So
that's expensive.
If you need anything, just call me today because I'm in a generous mood times 3. Email me your requests. Now, just think of, I always talk about fortune cookies, or they're so general. By the way, that applies to you too, TC, because you're a Leo.
That's right.
I always crack up at the generalities of horoscopes and the generalities of fortune cookies and everything else, and they're never very specific. Can you imagine if, somebody had the guts to really take a chance in guessing what was going to happen to you?
Right.
And George Zimmerman picked up the newspaper yesterday, and his specific horoscope based upon the time that he was born, because Kluska breaks that down, based upon the time you're born, how much you weigh, all the day you were born, all this kind of stuff. He gives you very specific.
Right.
And let's say that for somebody says, you shall be arrested for second-degree murder today. Holy cow!
Go quietly.
Go hide somewhere. Let's see.
Actually, what it would have said was maybe it's a good day to rent a white Bronco.
Yes. Now, my wife is born January 20th with makes her an Aquarius, but she claims she's a Capricorn.
Aquarius and Leos are compatible.
They are?
Very compatible, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it works on the spectrum somehow. I don't know.
It says friendly faces will be everywhere you go today. How do you like that?
All right, that's nice.
It's kind of boring.
Yeah,
Today's birthday, if your birthday's April 12th, here's what you got going on. Developments in your personal life allow you to experience more love than ever. Oh, baby!
Well,
it starts with the gift you give to someone this month. Oh, wow! Cancer and Sagittarius people adore you. And your lucky numbers are 7, 31, 48, 18, and 20. Who the heck comes up with this stuff, TC?
I don't know. Now, those numbers don't work.
You and I need to become like horoscope specialists and charge money for people to get our reading.
Those horoscope numbers don't work because, think about it, we'd all play those numbers and win the Mega Millions, wouldn't we?
Yes. I'm done with horoscopes. That was boring.
What about psychics?
Oh, I'm glad you brought up psychics. People fall for that. And I tell you the people that really irritate me, the mediums. And there's people, you know what? If you've lost a loved one, you are going to be pulled to the hope and the idea that you can communicate to them.
John Edwards.
And you go to these people.
Not the politician.
And if you go to them, they say these general things. I see that you've lost somebody. Duh, because you know they're there to see something.
Here.
And then to say, it's somebody that you loved a great deal. Oh, yeah. And I see a male. No, female.
Right.
I mean, you just keep taking these guesses.
Yeah.
And they're young. Oh, no.
Well, you can look, you see, okay, you have, say, a woman, she's in her 30s, okay? She's a widow.
Great point.
All right? Well, you could say, okay, I picture a man in his late 30s. He was your husband? Oh, my God. Yes!
Exactly.
Because she comes, she's by herself.
And they always say these things, too, if you notice. These people that I know that have gone to see mediums, you go to a medium and they say everything's okay, that it's okay. That you need to go on it. Everything's fine. They never say, it sucks on this side. God, don't die. It sucks when you die.
It's great over here. Pool parties every night. But hey, you know something that's interesting, too? For years and years and years, we always get press releases sent to the station. They want you to announce different things. Every year they have a psychic convention, I think, in Sharonville. And I always wonder, why would you waste the paper? Don't the psychics already know that the convention is coming?
Great point.
And
this happened to me one time after my first wife passed away. I'm getting a massage from somebody who I didn't realize was supposed to apparently be a medium too, Yeah. And I'm sitting there getting a massage, and out of the blue, this person says, just want to tell you that your wife says that it's all okay. I'm like, what?
Wow.
I never went back again. I'm like, man, I'm not going to mix a massage with getting told goofy stuff.
I can imagine. You got a massage by a medium.
Well, I didn't know it was a medium at the time.
I got a massage by a large once.
TC, you are witty. Now, I got it. Now, with respect to this, I just want everybody to know, and this is a true story, okay? None of my children, nor have I, have ever reported one single time of some message that was sent, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words, there hasn't been anything in the house or visions or anything else.
Right.
I mean,
gave you the wrong cue there. Forget about that.
Is it just 1 minute?
No, we got 4.
Okay, here's a big story. Let's back to some serious news.
Yes.
Industry insiders think the numbers could soon start falling, the gas prices, pointing to factors such as the weak European economy, the slow American recovery, and signals from the Iranian government it may be willing to compromise on its controversial nuclear program. What do you think the odds, TC, of Barack Obama doing something between now and November to get those gas prices down? He'd be a darn fool if he didn't.
And this could save him. Seriously, he could say, I got bin Laden. Got gas prices down. People are working again. Look at the numbers we fudged. I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there. But, yeah, could happen.
On Wednesday, Japan's Takeda Pharmaceutical Company said it would pay $800 million for Philadelphia-based URL Pharma Inc. in a cash deal. URL manufactures Colcrase, a drug that treats and prevents gout flares.
Really?
I always knew there was going to be money in gout flares.
Yeah.
I should have invested. Now, First, we hear about Best Buy making cuts.
Yeah.
Then we hear about CEO Brian Dunn resigning.
Yeah.
Yesterday, they report there's an investigation into his personal conduct.
Is there an intern involved?
Is there a 25-year-old that was riding on his motorcycle as he crashed?
Yes, that's what I'm wondering.
And speaking of that, it's come out that there's been like 9,000 million text messages and phone calls between Bobby Petrino and that 25-year-old intern.
Oh, he's toast.
Yeah, he's toast.
That's it.
You know, here's the thing about him. The way he treated the Atlanta Falcons. Well, he mistreated Louisville. Then he mistreats Atlanta Falcons. Now he's mistreating Arkansas. You know, Petrino's going to, you know what, he will find another coaching job because he's a good coach. So somebody goes, hey, we don't care about all this. We're going to give him another chance.
He'll come out and he'll say, you know what I've done was wrong. I apologize. I've disgraced my family and my wife and the school.
And you know what, folks? It's never an affair. It's always an inappropriate relationship.
Yeah, it's a nicer word. It's a nicer phrase, maybe.
But I'm not going to throw rocks at the guy. It's a shame for his family. It's a shame for his whole situation. You know, he got busted.
Yeah.
Riding your girlfriend on a motorcycle is high-risk business.
Yeah.
Let me see. Federal deficit narrowing. It has, actually. The Treasury Department reported Wednesday that it collected $171 billion in taxes and revenue. And by the way, folks, tomorrow's show, we're going to discuss a little bit about the taxes and tax returns and ideas and things, and the difference between tax avoidance and tax cheating. Avoidance